Um, Hello. I am here to speak to you about business systems, which is one part of our work in TCBL. And just to start, I would insist on the fact that on the fact that, as you have seen through all the previous presentation, one characteristics of TCBL is the openness, that we are building a community of people oriented and interested in textile and clothing somewhere, but which with very various visions and very various preoccupations for the future, as very well illustrated by the video just before. So what we are trying to do in terms of business systems is to introduce innovation to business systems as they exist, or to new ones, but how is through enhancing the motivation and the capacity of those having a role in these innovation systems. So that we have started this year in doing so by creating a community, and as said before, based not on very concrete projects that we have asked to everybody to describe in details, but on personalities, on the fact that these personalities are sharing values and concerns that we feel we can cope with inside our community. And our aim now is to motivate innovation by inoculating to this community or making this community, putting this community in contact with different types of challenges or views, different types of views on challenges, on market and social trends and demands, and make them react to them. These today's, it's what we are doing. Next step will be to organize groups sharing the same problems, interested by the same opportunities and innovation practices in groups in order to start to work on what we can work together in smaller groups. And finally, when will these kind of projects will emerge out of these communities to promote and or to inoculate some solutions coming from technology, from business models that have been successful elsewhere, as to investigate them and try to put them in practice at the level of an enterprise or of an individual designer and so on. So what we have in hand is that we have already a good basis to start with. After our call for people interested to joining our community as associated members or associated advisors, we have a coverage of all the supply chain, the main steps of the supply chain. And this is extremely important in order to organize this the complementarities, the groups of work, and to have possibilities of facing gaps that may exist. So, in order to increase the innovation capacity, we shall start by offering a shared representation of the different value chain steps, and so everybody will know where they are, where the others are, and who are those who are close to their level of value, their position in the value chain, which are the more natural to work with, or those who are in complements of the value chain, which are also for other reasons the good ones to work with. We shall consolidate this information in order also to allow transfers of experience on the same value chain between the different people, and also to share the possibilities of transferring from one to another of this community some good experiences. Also, we'll, on this mapping of the different value chain stages, will put information about possible innovation, suggest the different scenarios to be experimented in next steps of TCBL. This is the work that we shall do in the next 6 months in order that we have some pilot projects that will be implemented with groups of our community of associated members. As an example, we can have the types of projects which consist in restructuring the value chain. The traditional value chain is you produce and then you sell, and then if the clothes are not adapted, they are returned, or they are adapted by a tailor. An alternative value chain is from the beginning, you take the measurement and you produce. So reinventing the value chain is one of the possibilities that we'll have. Another problem that we have here in UK, you had the problem that you had during a period a collapse of a lot of activities, of production activities. These required to you to repair broken elements of your value chain, and this kind of problematic is also one of ours. And in other places, there are parts of the value chain that do not exist, like recycling in Greece, which is almost not present. Some things are going now, and will help to add these elements in the local value chains. But we have also already some cases which have been brought by some who have joined the network, which will be pilots that we shall start with, which can be the extension of production in another line, or the extension of an existing production to another market, another typology of goods. So this is what it is programmed in terms of business systems, in terms of affecting the business systems with our TCBL community in the next months.
Thank you very much, Thanos. I can take that. Thank you. Next we have Dieter Stelmach from DITF. Dieter?
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. So, to become a little bit more concrete, what we have done in the past 12 months and what will be the outlook regarding this knowledge and all the knowledge spaces, which is, from our point of view, one of the foundations of the basics for making innovative business. I want to show you a little bit what is behind, what it is for, and what do we want to do with this knowledge spaces. We have 3 topics here. One is to capture the knowledge from ourselves, from our actors, from our organizations, from our peoples and all. How do we communicate and how do we interact? We want to share these knowledge and experience and to find solutions for problems. And by this foundation, by this repository, we want to motivate and support the targeted business innovation and implementation. What is the idea, a little bit more theoretical behind? Of course, we are sitting here together, we are talking together. So one is a knowledge learner, one is motivated to provide some knowledge, and we have some communication. But in the world of internet and in the future business of textile and clothing, it is also important that we have this knowledge on a more structured way, and that we maintain it, and that we make it available all around the world to all the people. And therefore we build up a more or less complicated structure in the background, which will be not visible to the people. If you talk about knowledge, what is it? What it is about? It is about products, it is about machines, it is about materials, it is about designs, and it is of course about the services, how to make fabrics, how to make clothing, how to cut, and so on. So if we want to manage this information, this knowledge, we have to make a complex structure. We developed this structure in behind, where we have all these elements, let's say, stored in a database at the end. And for the development phase, during the development phase, we are using our back office system, which is called vDiscover, which we can use in order to evolve. Also, let's say, for new things which are arising during the next 3 years in the project. And with this back-end office, and also with the activities which has been done in the last 12 months, we collected already some information. We call it population of this knowledge base. One example is here the associated interest groups. Another example is a TCBL customer survey, which we did. We had some questionnaires for the associated and for the pilot labs. And we also have some information collection on the TCBL website itself. So you see that there are many different sources where we can get all our things together. And in the very near future, what you will see on this TCBL website is what we call the search interface, where you can just browse and search and put in some keywords and say, okay, I want to see if there's somebody in the field of digital textile printing, or if there is somebody who is providing some designs. And this can be done with this search interface. And if you play with the search interface, you will see that there's a more complex structure behind it, and getting all the information which we have collected already. And this is what we have done in the last 12 months, and also to communicate all the information which is in this knowledge spaces. We provided a quarterly ebook, which is also available from the website. Thank you.
That's very interesting, the curation. Next, Marco. So Marco Paini from Skillaware is going to talk about business support. I think that's correct.
Yeah. In particular about business services. What are business services inside the TCBL project? They are, well, if I can change the slide, yeah. Business services are training and performance support facilities, and they have the aim to stimulate the creation and the exploration of asset of things, such as innovative business models, innovative supply chain models, and also innovative ICT tools with the aim to digitize the textile and clothing industry. In particular, in few words, what business services do is create and explore innovative ways to make things. BP Square is the main component of business services inside the TCBL project. BP Square stands for Business Process and Best Practices for Textile and Clothing Industry. And we can describe BP Square by answering 3+1 questions. The first question is what BP Square does. BP Square does training and performance support to users, providing them a set of documentation such as PDF, Word, videos, augmented reality examples, and so on. Then BP Square allows you to share the IT innovation for textile and clothing industry with a repository of software. And last but not least, BP Square allows you to drive business process innovation thanks to business process modeling. We will talk more about business process modeling in the jam session this afternoon. The second question is who uses BP Square? Well, first of all, industry champions. Industry champions are companies that decide to join the TCBL ecosystem and that decides to share knowledge, to share their processes, to share how they make things. Then all this knowledge is used by the main user of BP Square, which are the TCBL associate enterprises, or the pilots. And the pilots collect all this knowledge, all these processes, and they play with them. They play with them and they create innovation. To help them, inside BP Square, we can have also other actors, such as consultants, advisors, or software vendors, and so on. The third question is where innovation takes place. It takes place here. This is a portal, okay, in which you have two parts. The first part is a public part, in which you have a list of, which is the external part in the picture here, which contains a list of all the business processes of the knowledge champions and also the software available on the platform. Then we have a set of dedicated environment for subgroup of pilots. These are called pilot scenarios, and each pilot scenarios is represented by a subgroup of pilots that wants to create innovation on some aspect of the textile and clothing industry. This is this is a screenshot of how BP Square is. You can see on the left the index of all the processes and the sub-processes, and you can have on the right all the associated materials. The fourth question is, how is it possible? Is it possible thanks to Skillaware? Skillaware is a software developed by a startup of the Sedapta Group. Sedapta Group is a leading company for software for supply chain management. And Skillaware allows to track the knowledge of an expert user during the usage of a software inside the company, and automatically generates a set of training materials for novice users. And Skillaware is in the middle of these three areas, which are business process orchestration, which are electronic performance support, which is the future of e-learning, and learning and performance analytics. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Marco. Next we have Joe Cullen from the Tavistock Institute, who is going to talk about evaluation. I have two microphones, it's very exciting.
Yeah, I have a major challenge here, how to make evaluation sound very exciting and emotive, like you know, the first time you bought your first pair of Doc Martens, but it's very difficult. I was toying with the idea of setting this presentation to the soundtrack of the Sex Pistols, but I didn't think you'd actually fall for that one. So my strategy is to take the line that the EU Remain campaign are actually doing now, which is it's good for you. It's good for you to stay in the EU. So evaluation is good for you because particularly the European Commission, who after Thursday will probably ask for all their money back when we leave the EU, wants to be sure that the €5 or so million that they've invested in TCBL is actually value for money. So, of course, one of our jobs is to try to demonstrate that TCBL is value for money. Secondly, and a major evaluation, I guess, objective for us is to demonstrate that it works. You know, what works for who, under which circumstances. And evaluation, of course, is good for operational aspects of the project. If we detect things that are going wrong, then hopefully it's possible to alert this big and sprawling ecosystem to things that are going wrong, and then we can correct them. But really, where we're coming from in evaluation is it's all about learning. You know, if what the main objective for us as evaluators is to learn from it, and particularly to be able to transfer the learning into future ecosystems like TCBL. Evaluators like us, because we're pretty much anoraks, we have a dream scenario. And the dream scenario is it's a laboratory. We're actually testing a drug to reduce arthritis, and we can stay in the laboratory. We can control everything. You know, so we get two groups: one who take the drug, one who don't, and we compare the results after the trial, and we find that it works. The evaluator's nightmare scenario is you have huge complexity. You can't control anything. We have open systems. All the boundaries don't work, and that's precisely what we have in TCBL. So it's an evaluation nightmare. Our approach then, as Jesse pointed out earlier, is to try to look at evaluation from three broad perspectives. It's about the ecosystem. We need to try to map how the ecosystem evolves. It's about complexity, and of course complexity is really difficult to capture when you're trying to evaluate things. And it's about large-scale change. So what we try to do is to configure an evaluation approach that tries to get inside that hugely complex and evolving system. And it's about action research. You know, most people think evaluation is very hands-off, but our approach is to be inside the system and to work with everybody in it. And you know, as Kurt Lewin said, the only way you can find out what works is to change it. So that's our evaluation philosophy. We're doing it throughout the whole process of the project and its ecosystem as it evolves. We're using as the main method what we call theory of change, and that is, you know, TCBL has a vision. It has a theory that it's going to change things. And what it's going to change is the presenting problem, which is the T and C sector overproducing, chasing money, chasing customers. The impact it's going to try and make, as Jesse said, not just after the project, but into the next couple of decades, is to create a completely different system based on completely different value chains. So our evaluation strategy is to try to track how that journey, how that dream, if you like, that vision, actually evolves in practice, and that's what we're going to do. Through lots of different things, case studies of the enterprises and the advisors who join the system, some fairly routine scientific type stuff based on cost effectiveness, counterfactual, what would have happened if TCBL hadn't have existed? You know, can we predict how that's going to work? So, you know, it's a really difficult and challenging thing, but hopefully, if you join with us, you know, we can do it. On that note, we have 3 requests. We've got 3 things we would like you to do in this particular event. I forgot to bring it with me now, but you have like a little pink sheet. There it is. We would really appreciate it if you could complete this little pink sheet. Second thing is, and this is in your pack, we have a survey, feedback on the events on SurveyMonkey. The link is in the pack. And the third thing is myself, Kirsten, and Georgia, who are over there, at lunchtime are going to come up and ask you, can you do a little vox pop, which is a kind of selfie, but moving. We're going to use our iPhones and hope for the quality will be good. So if you could give us a couple of minutes over lunch, why you're here, what you think about it, and those things, we'd be extremely grateful. Thanks.
Thank you very much, Joe. No explosions. Disappointed. Thank you. Matteo is going to talk about value modeling from ISMB.
Yeah, I'm going to talk about the value modeling activities that we conducted at ISMB for the TCBL project. First of all, what we know about value, there are different principles of value assessment, and they depend on, for example, use or exchange. And we know that, for example, value is subject to decreasing marginal returns, because the more we have and the less value we tend to give to what we have. And then recently we have been observing the rise of unconventional forms of value exchange, such as time, as the example of Time Republic, and virtual currencies. And about the business value modeling, we know that for creating value for the business model, we need to create value for our customers. But for creating value for our customers, we need also to create value for our business model. And so there is this kind of reinforcement cycle that need to be addressed. We use free fits plus one, as we called, for identifying the value delivered. The first 3 fits are related to the lean startup theory, while the last one is according to the Osterwalder's theory, and we made a sort of blend of the 4. And so we have the first one is the problem solution fit, and so we want to discover who are the customers. And then we have the product market fit, that is related to the customer validation. Then the scale fit, and so we have to increase our customer base. And the last one, of course, is related to the economic sustainability, and so is the business model fit. On the right side, we present 4 tools that may be used by a researcher or an analyst or whoever for addressing those fits. And so we have the value proposition canvas, the business model canvas, innovation accounting metrics, and so the acquisition of the customer, the activation of the customer, the acquisition of the customer, the retention of the customer, the referral, and the revenues that are, of course, the final metric for measure the sustainability, and then the elaboration of the overall business plan for estimating the financial parameters. So the business value modeling transitions in TCBL, we created a process model made up of a list of desirable archetypes we want to implement, and I think that they are in line with, for example, what with Lutz presented and highlighted before. Then we had to consider endogenous and exogenous drivers. Then we considered some relevant innovation levers that are related and purely related to the business model features. And then we studied some potential innovation paths following one or more of these 3 dimensions of analysis. And so they are the 3 dimensions are user, data, and sustainability, with other sub-dimensions corresponding to each of the macro ones. We try to cover all the phases of an hypothetical textile and clothing supply chain, from the generation of the idea phase till to the production and to the customer satisfaction after we want to sell or exchange the product. And how we model the value for the business labs and the business services. We created the value proposition canvases, so we took the advantage of using them in order to evaluate if the beneficiaries, because we wanna call the customers the beneficiaries within the scope of TCBL, and so if their jobs are well addressed by the products and services offered by the lab, and we also for understanding if their gains and pains are respectively achieved and relieved by the value offer of the considered lab. And then we wanted also to assess the heterogeneity and the homogeneity of the TCBL ecosystem in terms of product offerings and groups that are targeted.
Thank you very much, Matteo. And finally, Simon Delaire from iMinds, who's going to talk about sustainability, saving the best for last.
Thank you very much. Thank you. So very quickly on sustainability, what we're going to try and do over the next few years in TCBL. Sustainability, basically trying and look into securing the sustainability of TCBL in three components that exist. So first of all, TCBL, the platform, the ecosystem, something that was not there 1 year ago, that is now growing and that we want to keep continuing. Events like this, exchange platforms, piloting, experimenting, and so on. So on that level. Secondly, sustainability of a number of basic tools and platforms that have just been introduced already and that we want to continue and that we want to make sure that they continue to exist. And finally, of course, new services, new tools, new labs that are going to come in through an open call system, of which we had already one, and we want to make sure that also these services are sustainable. So a number of things that we're going to do in the next few years that we're already doing. So we're going to provide market and policy analysis context. We're going to do coaching to joining businesses and service SMEs. So we have a range of services there. I'll go into this a little more in the next few minutes. And we're going to try and provide some insights on IPR and exploitation. The approach that we're going to do is that we take a service desk approach to our partners. So we analyze market trends, policy trends for them, and we try to apply our insights to the things, the tools, the processes that the TCBL partners focus on, setting up a coaching portfolio for the partners and integrating partners that are coming in through the open call system into the technical and business fiber of TCBL. Market and policy context is obviously what we start with while calls are being developed, while new companies are being introduced. Something going on right now, an exercise we'll finish in the next few weeks, where we provide up-to-date views on the TNC market, including implications of about 50 TNC macro trends on the basic objectives that TCBL has. So kind of mapping what is going on externally on what TCBL wants to do and is doing. So we have a very clear idea to what extent what we're trying to do fits with the market, and also sometimes where it goes against the market, which could be a good thing if we want to disrupt, and which would be a bad thing if we're fighting against something that we cannot win. So it's very good to have that context, and a bit like the representative this morning sketched a number of trends, we're trying to do that as well. EU policies and economic trends impacted and impacting on the TCBL core principles. So again, a two-way system where we are investigating a number of policies, very down-to-earth policies, Horizon 2020, Europe 2020, social innovation, and so on, and trying to see whether these policies are conducive to what we want to do or whether they work against that again. And as you may expect, sometimes we work in favor of policy. We are a European project. We are funded by European Commission. So it is logical that we are supporting some of the policies that come in the European domain, but also we're going against some of the policies. Notably, for example, in Industry 4.0 is partly something that we embrace and partly something that we ask questions about. So this is something that we try to inform our partners about in the project. Coaching and integrating. So what we're going to do is, as I said, have a portfolio of services that we will offer to partners that work within the TCBL ecosystem, where we're going to assess operational capacity of a number of these partners, the organizational impact of the adoption of new techniques, business models, and processes, and analyze, again, a bit in the way that was just what the previous speaker introduced, also looking at potential beneficiaries and end users of the innovation, value propositions, and so on. We have a a number of partners with very specific skills in the project in that domain, in terms of business modeling, in terms of assessment, operational capacity, maybe even technical or business training. And we're going to bring the partners in touch with these experts to do that. We're going to bring them into touch also with relevant networks so that they have the right stakeholders that they need to fulfill their service. And we're going to integrate some of the service SMEs into the cloud platform. So a number of companies are going to come in that provide new ICT tools that can help in some of the aspects of the business model and the value chain. And the idea is that we have a cloud platform that would make a lot of things easier for them, not just to deploy, but also to integrate with our other services. And that's what we're going to do there. And of course, community building between the partners coming in and giving them some business and tech support. Finally, and I have 10 seconds, we will look into the systems that exist in TCBL today and make sure that we figure out the right IPR and exploitation mechanisms so that also these systems like Skillaware, BP Square, the knowledge spaces can continue to exist in a sustainable way. Thank you.